Have you ever wondered why the things that you've been trying to manifest you're not experiencing, or they haven't come into fruition or into this physical plane? All right, I made this video for you. Welcome back to another video. My name is Matt Schmidt and I guide people to heal themselves. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through 4 things that have been preventing you from manifesting what you want. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to be sharing with you a process that you can use to manifest easier and faster to bring those things into fruition. All right, so the first thing that we're going to go through is being too attached to how it looks. Okay? I've noticed this for myself. I was trying to broaden my range, broaden my perspectives, and I had this idea that I was supposed to be like traveling across the country, and I was trying to like almost force these things to happen. So I had this idea that I was going to be going to Colorado to do some events, and it just wasn't working out. Like I kept reaching out to people, and it just wasn't. It felt kind of forced. And I had this idea that I was supposed to be somewhere specifically to make this happen, what I wanted to happen. Okay. Once I let go of that, then something landed right in my lap. It was fast, it was easy, and I knew I was right where I was supposed to be. Okay. So that's not to say that we're not supposed to be clear about what we want. So there's a difference. So being clear about what we want to manifest is huge. I'll give you an example. I was trying to manifest abundance when I was first learning how to do this, and the boss called me up and said that I was needed to do a bunch of overtime. So it didn't look how I wanted it to look, but like the universe doesn't know if we're not clear with what we want. So be clear, concise in what we want, but then kind of letting go of how that looks. Okay. So I was so focused on like this one avenue and how it was going to look when I was there that I almost missed something that was dropped right into my lap. Once I kind of let go of that idea, this idea came to me, a person came to me, and we are a perfect match for each other, and everything just took off. Okay, but it wasn't until I let go of how it looked that was able to happen. All right. Number 2 is being not attached to how you get there. This is a big one, a really big one, especially for me, and I know it is for a lot of other people. So I've noticed in my own manifestation, I would try to put these conditions with it. Oh, once I do this, once I get this many followers, once I do this many sessions, then I'll be able to have this where I can do this. And I put all these things, these rules with it, all these steps that was really inhibiting the process. When in fact, there was a side path that would have got me there a lot faster. So once I let go of those conditions, I let go of how those things looked, it was way easier for that to fall into place. If it feels like you're trying to make it happen, if you feel like you're forcing it, this is how I can tell for me. It feels like I'm forcing it. I'm trying to make it happen rather than allowing it to happen. That's not saying just like give up and just like, oh, just I'm manifesting everything, but you're not actually doing anything to align with that. That's not right either. Okay, but I can tell the difference in myself when I'm trying to force it. Okay, and this happened to me recently with trying to make some retreats happen. I knew what I wanted. I knew kind of what that looked like, but it was kind of letting go of how that happened. Once I did that, once I wasn't trying to force it, I had all these opportunities that just kind of landed right in my lap. Okay. So if something doesn't go the way that you think either, that doesn't mean that your manifestation failed. Okay, I've been guilty of this too. So just because there was a piece in there that kind of felt like a setback, felt like I was pulled away from my goal, it was just that I wasn't supposed to be going down that route. So once I let go of that idea in my head of how it looked, I realized that was actually part of the process in getting me to where I was supposed to go. And once you can recognize it, not as a failure, but as part of the manifestation process, then it will align with you even quicker. Okay, what you actually want. So a big part of this is surrendering, trusting the process. And for me, surrendering, when I first started this work, it felt like surrender meant give up. It doesn't. It just means letting go of that control and how it looks. It's a huge but subtle difference. Okay. So you're shifting into this state of allowing and accepting what is, and then you're going to get there way faster than if you're resisting or blocking that process. All right, which brings us to number 3, blocking the process. I've noticed this a lot when it comes to fears, but also our own ability to receive. Okay, if you don't feel you're worthy, if you don't feel like you deserve something, guess what? You are going to be sabotaging yourself and blocking that whole process. So, yes, you do deserve this. You are worthy of this. Open yourself up to receiving. And sometimes this isn't in terms of things, but in terms of people that are brought into your life. So if you're not accepting their help, you are blocking this whole process. Another big chunk for me is the fears around things. So I've noticed with other people as well, the fear of failure, the fear of success even. If too many good things are happening in a person's life, they're like, oh, too many good things are happening, and they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, you're actually blocking this process. So it's addressing those fears within you. For me, a big one that came up recently was I was preventing myself from growing or expanding because in my mind, that growth meant that there would be a disconnect from people. If I had too much money, that would separate me too much from other people. They wouldn't be able to relate to me. Or there was also the disconnect with my family. Oh, growing meant I would have to be traveling more. I wouldn't have that connection with my family because I'd have to be going out and doing these things in different places. Okay, so I had to reframe that and realize if I have enough money that I can bring them along with me. And it doesn't have to be this separation. So once I was able to kind of realize some of these things and reframe them, then that kind of fell away. All right, and finally, probably the biggest thing that I find for, at least for me in the beginning and for other people, is that when opportunity knocks, you have to take the step. Okay? And if you're too attached to how it looks, if you're too attached to how it's supposed to go, you're going to miss this obvious thing. If you're focused on manifesting like abundance and you're grinding away and a friend says, "Hey, you should really meet my buddy. He's kind of into the same things you are, and I think you guys would really hit it off." But you're so focused on focused on making money and the way that you think it's supposed to be that you just missed this huge opportunity that would have opened all these doors for you and made your whole life easier. So because you didn't take that action step, you're stuck and you're like wondering, why isn't this working? Why am I not able to manifest this? It's because you're trying to control it and you're not taking that opportunity that's being presented to you. The other thing is that sometimes people's fears, their own, like, you can talk yourself out of anything. This happened for me recently when I feel this pull to go places sometimes. I can't really describe it, but it doesn't make any sense logically. One thing that came up for me recently was going on this trip to LA, to the Conscious Life Expo. My conscious mind could think of a million reasons not to go. But I felt the pull and knew that that was an important step in me connecting with other people. Had I not taken that step, I can look back at it now from being months away from this and look back and say, oh yes, that needed to happen, so that happened, and that connected me with these people, and it all makes perfect sense now. But at the time, it really didn't. There wasn't a real good reason to go. But now that I can see it from this perspective, had I not taken that opportunity, had I not answered that knock, none of that would have happened. Okay, so it's following our intuition, following those feelings, following our heart, and following it wherever it leads. And that's when magic starts to happen. That's when that's when you're in that flow state. For me, it feels like a red carpet rolls out for me as I walk. And that's when I'm out of my head and I'm following that pull, answering those doors, those knocks of opportunity, and really taking that action. Okay. So, before I get into this next part of what we can do and how you can actually manifest easier and quicker, we're going to talk a little bit about what manifestation is and what it's not. So manifestation is not wanting. Okay, there's two different things. So manifestation I see as an extension of who you are, basically your state of being. All right, and this is an extension of who you are, what you're passionate about, and not what you desire. Okay. So I eventually want to align with a healing center. This is kind of like a big out there project. Um, and I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about helping people heal. And I know that when I'm in that state of being, that I can align with where I want to be next. The cool thing about this is you can do this right now. You can align with that state of being that you want to be, and it will get you to where you want to go. This isn't something coming from outside of you. A wanting is trying to fill a hole, trying to fill a void. No, this is an extension of who you are, and you can be that right now. For me, I like to focus on the feeling. What does that feel like? Okay. And for me, I kind of let go of the timelines. I know some people talk about that. I want this in 2 years. If you've been trying to manifest something for 10 years and it hasn't been happening, you're probably not doing one of the things that we've already just talked about. Okay, so I don't get too hung up on how it looks time-wise. If I'm in alignment with that, a lot of times it happens faster than I even thought it was going to. And I feel even putting like time restrictions on it kind of inhibited the process, at least for me personally. But do what you feel called to do. Okay? And then do all those things right now. You can do all this right now. Be the energy, be the vibration of what you want to manifest. And then you just become magnetic for it. You don't really have to try. I'm still learning this. Don't think I have it all figured out. But when I get to the point where I just kind of like surrender to the process and let it happen, that's when the magic starts coming and when it starts happening. I swear, I'll have an idea of what I want to manifest, and I swear the universe is like, "You done? You done? All right, you done? Okay, here you go," and then hands it to me. Basically, I have to kind of surrender to how it looks, be okay with all the outcomes, and just be the state that I want to be. Boom, and then it happens fast. It's when I get to that point where I drop, where I drop and surrender to any of how it looks, then it happens, and a lot of times it happens in a better way than I even imagined. All right, so how can we do this? So the first thing we kind of already alluded to was being clear on what you want when you set an intention. I do this every night before I go to bed. I intend blank. Okay. And a big one for me, we've kind of talked about it, is focusing on the feeling. If you're trying to manifest a money, okay, we'll just use that. A lot of people try to manifest money. What does that mean for you? Focus on the feeling. Focus on the freedom. For me, it's the ability to reach more people, to help more people. Okay, and then be that vibration, and you're going to get more of that. If you're just focused on a piece of paper, that doesn't have a vibration. It only has the value that you give it. So what does that mean for you? And then you're going to be given more of that, not even in terms of money, but opportunities as well. If that means freedom, you may have someone call you up and say, "Oh, I have this place down in Mexico. If you want to come hang out with my family or spend time with my family, you can do that." Okay, so it's going to come to you in all these other ways when you're focused on what the feeling is, what it means for you, and you're going to be given these opportunities. Okay. And then what I do, I think this is from an infomercial, you just set it and forget it. Okay. If you're too attached, if you're like hyper focused on that, what you're trying to manifest, it almost restricts the process. Okay. So set it and forget it. All right. And then the next thing is surrender and allow. Allow it to come to you in the best way possible and just open yourself up to receiving. And that's it. You don't have to complicate it. Okay. For me, it's just getting out of the way and letting it happen. And I'm still learning this. Okay, so I made a thing to help you with this process, and this has been a big one for me, is a meditation to help you to trust the universe. Okay. Surrender to the process and trust the universe, letting go of that control of how you get there, and then watch the magic play out in your life. Don't take my word for it. Okay, and I will be posting that video here or here. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next video.